Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. Zero diamonds, zero.
Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today we're going to be having an exclusive conversation with exclusive content from Exclusive Minds. I'm your host, Rook, and
Joe?
let's get right into it.
Video, not the audio going. Yo. We are back for episode 48.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
Go Birds. Yeah.
Big win yesterday over the Giants.
Holy mackerel. Kicked their ass. I think everybody thought they were going to win big, but holy mackerel. That was that first half was ugly.
They were blowing smoke up the Giants' ass because they were the hottest team going into the playoffs. They're like, oh, yeah, the Giants. But then we beat the Giants, and they're like, oh, you guys just beat the Giants. That was an easy win.
I know.
Yeah, it's like
Can't have it both ways.
Can't have it both ways.
Pick one or
man.
the other.
So, how have you been? Long
Good.
time since we did the podcast officially in this room. I feel like we did it at the Spooky Mansion. That was
Yeah, I mean, it's
2 weeks ago.
It feels like it's been a month, and I guess it has since we've kind of done our last sit-down podcast. So let's, I guess, recap on that haunted house thing. And
the
then
first one.
Yeah, we'll
Wait,
talk
can you
about
hear me?
we'll talk about your second trip, right? But so, man, that video, it's really funny. That's the first time I'd really tried to kind of edit video.
Yeah. How was that?
Other than we're doing the podcast here and we just basically straight record, and that just that's no big deal. But
Video is a whole different beast.
oh
man.
my god!
It's a different
So I mean, unfortunately, I was way behind on getting that podcast out. Right, it took me over a week because I was traveling, and I started to, and I was like, "Holy shit, man! This is time. This would be seriously time consuming if I were to do it right."
Yeah.
So I basically just took raw clips and just kind of cobbled them together, and it was pretty crappy. But in the end, I don't know. It probably doesn't make a big difference because we didn't see anything, which kind of sucked, which is not surprising.
Ignore me what I'm doing over here. I apologize. I'm just trying to get some footage for TikTok. But
So I was telling Eda, because we were just talking about it, because I know you went to a second one this weekend, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what I think was the funniest thing for me was watching how people started off with such enthusiasm and such high expectations. And then over the course of 3 or 4 hours, man, it just crashed in on them. And, you see it in sports all the time, right? Where your team loses and you just take it to heart and, you fall apart.
Get in your head a little bit.
But when, outside of sports, you don't see it too often like we did. And it was just so funny because Mario and Michael were like Mario Sr. They were so into it.
Yeah.
When they got there, they were so into it. And by the end, they were fried and done.
So I think the funniest thing, and getting to see that was not I guess funny, but weird, I guess, was when we first got there, we got a tour by two of the tour guides. And they're telling us the history and everything like that. And then we get into some of the rooms and oh, I had an experience here. I didn't have an experience here. And we get into one in particular room where the gentleman's talking and he's like, this room's actually kind of laid back. There's actually nothing that really happened in here. And then the girl quickly chimes in and she was like, oh, wait, I thought you said you had an experience with a child in here and you've seen a child.
Right.
And he's like, oh, right. He's like, yeah, I did see. And then in that moment, you're like, if I seen something that traumatic where
you would never forget it.
Yeah, you would see a child, that you wouldn't forget that. So that was just kind of like a red flag. But yeah, it started off with such high expectations. Even their friend, who was it, Diane, she wanted I don't know, she was the first one that wanted to get out. She was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to have any more parts of it. So
yeah, and then I guess there was a second ghost hunt thing that you went to this weekend. I missed it because I had other plans, but thank God I missed it because apparently it didn't go very well.
So I guess I could talk a little bit about that. So we went on a second one. This one was in Manayunk, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Right
that
outside
area.
of Philly. Yeah.
And it's right on. So we were eating at this place, which is on the main strip in Manayunk, and we get in the car, drive 2 minutes down the road, which is still on the main strip, and it's right there. And I was like, usually the first place was kind of secluded. It's down a driveway. You go up. It's like a whole ambiance. This one had LED lights outside of it going on, and it just looked more modernized. We went through the whole thing, and it just didn't really seem to Tracy couldn't feel anything or have any of those suspicions or anything. And he kind of left a lot of the things he said. He kept saying I'll leave that to you to kind of figure out, or I'll leave that to you for your own imagination or whatever. And then by the end of the tour, or by the end of the night, it was like 11 o'clock. We called it like shortly after, or during the Eagles game. We were just like, all right, we might as well just chalk it here. We were like, Tracy went over to him and was talking to him because she knows how to like talk to these people. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I'm not getting no bad vibes in here. She's like, I wasn't threatened, nothing. And he was like, oh yeah, we had a medium come in here and he said the same thing. There was nothing bad that happened. So it's like, we just kind of like, why didn't you tell us that from the start? You know, you could have saved some serious time, but if you just said that from the start, and it's hard for, I guess, like me, you, like Taylor, I guess Kevin's kind of falls a little bit more towards on their side now at this point. It's like, where it's like, we're just like, we need to see concrete evidence to believe in something, where it's like they're like looking and actively seeking for it. It's like, you could kind of just tell that there's not a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the story.
It was funny because I mean, every little thing was like a reason to believe. Like I know Mario was up in the attic banging on the wall, and I mean I don't know if it was me or Noah, but someone was banging on the wall downstairs, kind of thing, or there was always some cause and effect, and it was like, oh yeah, someone moved the tennis ball, only to find out 30 seconds later, like, oh, I kicked the tennis ball because like
the first one was definitely a lot more fun because it had more people. That
was a legit. You kind of had the feeling that it was sort of this dilapidated old kind of house, and you could you could sit there and buy into it. Oh, it's haunted, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like this place was nothing of the sort.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like that. I do like going on these like trips because it's like you get to meet new people, see new things, do all that. But at the same time, it's like I could tell when someone's trying to bullshit you.
Yeah.
And this guy was clearly like, I don't know.
What was the end game though? So is it like?
So he didn't want any money. He didn't want anything of that sort. I think he just genuinely wanted people to like kind of go there, maybe for like a promotion, because he just did his first Halloween season, they call it, for running through it. And he was just like, yeah, like don't show any of the props, don't show any of that stuff to like the audience. But he's like, we're glad to have you guys here. Maybe if you guys find anything, let us know. And that's maybe it was like a
so they're searching.
Run.
It's almost like they're searching.
They're searching it for it themselves.
One of these haunted TV shows to take interest in. And we just kind of explodes or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of how it went. But yeah, it's interesting though because a lot of the surrounding area, when we were talking to some of the people, they all heard the mystery of, when there was a flood in 2021, that there was bodies that popped up around this mill. The mob used to go through this mill and all this different stuff. And then the guy, when we asked him about it, he was like, we prefer not to tell the public what's fabricated, what's not fabricated, and all that stuff. So
basically admitting that almost all of it's fabricated.
Like majority, right?
Yeah. I know, that's crazy.
So, it's like, but it seemed to get around the town though. Like the town seems to believe like this is what happened. Then we go to the guy that actually has the mill. Maybe he's covering his ass, maybe not, but he was just kind of on the other end of that spectrum.
Yeah, nuts.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that went. I know that we were talking a little bit about this logo, and I kind of want to kickstart it off with that, if that's okay with you, with the whole Peloton smiley face. Is that a good starting point?
Yeah. So for those that don't know what we're talking about, normally I would probably just sit there and say we should be quiet about it, but since we're obviously such a small little peon shop, I don't think really anybody cares. But so the interesting thing is, if you look at this podcast's the sticker, right? We have the smiley face, the green smiley face with Exclusive Minds podcast. We've been using that for some stickers and promotional materials. And sure enough, Peloton, the company who makes the sports or the fitness equipment, right? Well, there's a Peloton bike right here, right? Yeah. They had this thing saying coming on January 24th is this new campaign, and in it is the smiley face that we use in yellow with something about bring your own energy or something like that.
Yeah.
But it is an exact copy of it. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, we were doing this
so then we're like trying
a few years back.
Yeah.
We did it like back in like 2020.
It's been years, right? Because it was pre-COVID. So we're trying to figure out, like, we're in our heads going, wait a second, did we borrow that image from somebody and kind of repurpose it and retool it? I mean, where did that come from? Because if it was original, I'm like, whoa, that's not cool, right?
got file
now,
lawsuit, goddammit.
I'm assuming that it's not, we must have gotten it from someplace.
Yeah.
I went on the internet and looked. Like I was doing just a Google search on smiley faces and stuff like that. And the closest thing I could find was, I guess there's the smiley face murderer or something who supposedly killed people and then left a smiley face in the dirt that sort of has the kind of look. And I don't know if it spun out of that, but yeah, it was this weird thing. And I'm like, whoa. And it was just such a coincidence, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think so with a lot of me and Alan's like older designs, it's just like there's like places where you can get like non-copyrighted images and non-copyrighted fonts and these type of sort of things. And I think when he was making that one, it was like a non-copyrighted image that you could use, but also at the same time, I think he implemented like the eyes might have been circular if I remember, and he got the lines because if you look, the lines are like, I don't know if you have any of the stickers up here.
Yeah, they're in the drawer.
The lines are like, you see the smiley face up there, like the eyes are more liney than they are circular. You know what I mean? So like those type of things he could have added in it. You kind of just like remix it in a sort of way. But yeah, I saw the one that you sent me, the yellow one from Peloton. It looked like a 1-to-1 copy though. It was kind of nuts.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the eyes were sort of the long. I mean, it was just. Yeah. I was just like, oh my god, check it out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I was gonna post on Peloton's site, but then I was like, do I really want to do that? Because then I don't, we'll get the cease and desist letter because they're paying for it and we didn't, or some bullshit like that. So I was like, forget it. It's not a big deal. But it was kind of cool just to see that the image was being used by a very large company versus us little peons.
And it's one of those things where it's like you can't necessarily hate anyone for using it or not hate on it. It's like, hey man, everyone uses it, Yeah. So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like we were able to make some shirts with that and stickers with it, make our buck, and if it's a problem coming forward, I'm sure we could change that. But it's just like one of those things. It's like, where does that line? The internet's really just the wild, wild west.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I mean, I was just kind of, I was laughing. I was like, oh my god. I couldn't share it fast enough.
We got to get the Peloton EXM collab. How cool would that be?
Yeah, no kidding. So I'm really curious to see what they do with it because I mean, it didn't really tell you much. I'm assuming it's clothing related or something related.
Sure.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do something similar with how they actually use it because it was all over that promotion.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, without going deep into Peloton, right? But like, is it just more like people were telling me you could do more than just bike riding on a Peloton? I thought this was it. There's
Peloton,
like boxing, right?
Well, so Peloton has 3 pieces of hardware. They have the bike, they have a treadmill, and they have the rower now.
The rower,
rowing machine.
Okay.
So they have 3 pieces of hardware. They have the online, basically gym sort of thing that does those 3 things. They have classes, all kinds of different classes, and then they do boxing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you do the boxing on here?
You basically, the screen moves, and you can just basically, it's like shadow boxing.
Okay, I got you. Okay, that's cool.
I mean, I tried it once. I mean, I'm not I didn't do the boxing thing too much, but you can do yoga, you can do meditation. There's a tons of things.
Someone was telling me about it, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure Peloton's just bikes, dude.
No.
And they were like, yeah, you could do boxing. I was like, check it out.
If you just buy it for the bike, it's tough to get your money's worth out of it. But if you do all the other stuff,
it's good money. Yeah,
it's hard. It's not a bad deal.
Real quick on the topic of boxing, and I'm kind of going off the top here. No real data to back it up here, but I know KSI had his fight over the past weekend. And apparently it didn't do too hot. I don't know if it's on the decline. Know he had one. Exactly. It's on the kind of like the decline. I don't know what the deal is. I know that there was talks about, who was it, the guy? Tommy Fury getting back into it, maybe fighting him or KSI or something.
Did I just read that he signed, him and Jake Paul are going to fight now again?
Oh, geez. Well,
it's
I don't
back
know.
on. And
I thought he was supposed to fight KSI.
I thought I saw it's back on for February.
Sure.
End of February.
Well, I don't know, because now I was just about to say Jake Paul, he got this whole new thing with the UFC, or this secondary UFC company that he's like co-invested in or whatever, but he's the talent guy, so he's getting back into the MMA space. So he's going to be doing boxing and I guess MMA now, and I wonder how it's going to affect his career. Because every time I can't
keep the two of them straight. So the one that has the podcast is Logan Paul.
Yep. And he was in a bit of a trash the past couple weeks, months. It's kind of old news, but he was doing like the whole NFT thing like a year ago, and he completely abandoned it.
I heard that too,
Yep.
and I was trying to follow along with that, which sounded kind of crazy. I mean, it didn't sound like he did it intentionally.
Yeah, and then you got Jake, who's more into like the boxing. Yeah.
Okay, so I got it right. Okay,
Yep.
so Jake and Logan, and so Jake is the one that's doing the MMA thing.
Jake is doing the MMA thing. Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see how that because he's going to be doing both. I would imagine he started both of them. Both of the brothers started as wrestlers, and then they transitioned into boxers. But they were apparently really good wrestlers. I think they went D1 or something like that for wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of compete. I know Logan, which is the podcaster, he wrestled with what's the guy's name, Paul Costa or something like that, UFC guy. But apparently he was hanging with him, and he was like a champion or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. And I saw he was even maybe in talks with Francis Ngannou, who recently just left the UFC.
Just left the UFC, yeah.
So
that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, who knows how that'll work.
Well, he wants to fight Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
That's
what kind of fight would that be?
I don't know.
But then on the UFC side of things, John Jones just re-signed with the UFC for like a 9-fight deal or 4-fight deal or something. So
yeah, I mean they're tossing him right into the heavyweight equation, right? So it's him and I forget who he's fighting. But
well, he's earned it. He's
yeah.
He's not a bum by any regards. Like he's a really skilled fighter. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. And like I said, that I didn't really have no direction with it. But speaking of boxing, I thought I'd bring that up because I saw it and it's like. These boxers, or even the YouTube boxing whole scene, they need to do like a better PR thing. Like they have to figure that out. Like give it more like detailed. Like, hey, this is what's gonna happen here. What's gonna happen here? Because as like a person that's not like immersed into it, you're like, what the hell's going on? It's just everything's up in the air, and you just kind of have to figure it out.
Yeah, it's kind of become a money grab, and
people are
it's fast and furious, and it's like whatever.
Yeah. Another thing that caught my eye over the past couple weeks is our girl Carole Baskin. Her husband was found alive, which was the buzz all over the internet.
Wait. He was actually found?
Well, so listen,
the
right?
FBI said he's still alive or something.
But that would be news to the local authorities, who then the authorities told TMZ that they haven't heard from the feds, who still consider Don Lewis missing. So it's just like a random rumor that kind of sparked up out of nowhere. And
well, that was out there
kind of like took some legs.
He basically just faked his own death and went to Costa Rica or some shit.
Yeah, but then why did it start back up again? Did anyone get to the bottom of why that sparked up?
I don't know if it. I think what happened was she or somebody got a hold of paperwork from the government that wasn't previously available that basically confirmed
that he was living,
that they suspect he was still alive, or whatever. They have documentation that he entered. I don't know what it is, but he entered Costa Rica or something like that. So yeah, basically, and she basically is like, whatever, who cares, you know?
I know. I saw a couple of tweets from Joe Exotic, like tweeting while he was whoever's running his account, like saying like, "See, I told you," or something like that. Yeah, when they were found out or whatever. But
well, I mean, she's she's been very open about it, and I think what she ended up doing is she just she just sent all the press people to her website where it's. I mean, she's got it like documented out what her opinion is and all of this. So whatever,
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was just one of those things I seen, and I was like, someone a little close to the EXM podcast that popped up in the news.
It's funny though, because you're like, faking your own death and disappearing. Right? You hear stories about it, but it's like, come on, that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And it sounds like that may have actually happened. He may have actually just packed up and left.
People always say that. They're like, I'm going to fake my own death. But until you actually do it, that's kind of hardcore stuff. Can't talk to anybody.
So I'm reading here. So Jake Paul and Tommy Fury agree to fight on February 25th. I guess it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia because he can't obviously travel here.
Is that still why? Yes, just because like the mob tie connection, or why? What is that?
Yeah, he was. So the Furies are somehow friends with some Irish gangster or whatever. So I guess by association, they're just not allowed in
the United States.
Yeah, there must obviously be a little bit more to it to kind of keep them out, other than just, hey, I know the guy, or I don't know. I mean, apparently it hasn't kept Tyson Fury out of the country because he's obviously fought a couple times, I think, here. But everything they've been doing is overseas now. And I guess whatever it is, but that was the reason why that fight the last time got blown up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. like I said, I really like boxing has just became such a like backseat sport at this point that I wish that it was back in its heyday, but you don't have any of those power hitters to bring a crowd unless it's Tommy Fury, Canelo, like even Floyd Mayweather. He's just like fighting a bunch of YouTubers nowadays. Like,
yeah,
you have to have like a little bit bigger of a draw, you know?
Well, I mean, the only reason this fight's happening now, if you ask me, is because he just signed that MMA, deal, right? Because it's now at the point where if he loses this boxing fight, it doesn't, who cares? He'll just go do the mixed martial arts thing and kind of develop and build that. So I don't think he cares as much.
His career is built off of that hype. And I always ask Mikey that. I'm like, well, what happens if he loses? What happens if he loses? And it's like, he hasn't lost, but if he did, is that the end of the line? Because you never know. I saw something about investing, but it's kind of just like a quick topic. I didn't really want to keep.
Well, I should clear the air too, because I think the last time we had a real podcast, I was talking about how Avatar 2 is not doing well. Well, obviously, I was very wrong about that.
Oh, really? What'd they do?
Well, supposedly it went over $2 billion in sales, and it's like the number 2 or number 3 movie of all time or something like that.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either, but apparently quite a few people have. I'm assuming it's funny. I'm guessing these mega movies are going to be mega movies because when they go into the theaters, it's literally the only movie to go see, right? I mean, there are no other movies out.
I wonder. I never because that seemed to be the theme with Top Gun. Yes,
it was the only
movie out that was like worth going to see. Oh, excuse me. And now you have. I've seen the Scream trailer. That's the one that I want to go see.
Scream
6.
Come on.
No, dude, it looked good.
For fuck's sake.
Dude, go check out the trailer, man. It looks really good. It looks like they're in New York. Oh my god, it looks so good.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to.
It's like Halloween 47. I mean, come on, it's just stupid.
I think
Friday the 13th, part 17.
Mark my words. I think this one's going to be good
with aliens and Predator. Come on,
yo, they redid the Predator movie on Hulu. That was good. Prey on Hulu. It was really good.
Is that the one with the Indians and shit?
Yeah, that was fire, man. That was fire. I wanted to mention that in the esports side of things, because there's a major going on this weekend. Guess what? Some top content creators are pushing gaming to new heights, and their games are now outside of gaming, or their earnings are non-endemic partnerships far outside of gaming with FaZe Swag, that's his name, on the FaZe clan, who's now partnered with Porsche. He's a Porsche affiliate or sponsor or whatever, and yeah, I think this is huge for the gaming side of things. He's a Call of Duty creator.
Here's the deal, right? I don't get it. Like, so here's what I don't get, right? I mean, obviously these guys are super popular,
hugely popular,
but you can't tell me that guy's market that he's catering to and talking to can go out and buy a Porsche.
I agree. I think it's one of those things where
he's talking to my freaking 17-year-old son who spends 24 hours a day in his room, right? He's not out earning money to go out and buy a $150,000 911. I mean, it's just not happening.
So I think that's
what's the connection.
I was thinking about this myself, and I'm like, well, what does that partnership really mean? I think it's planting the seed for when Noah gets a job and goes out and all that eventually comes along. He'll be like, holy shit. Like,
that's some serious forward thinking.
This is the gusto of cars.
The way marketing works and the way corporate America works is what have you done for me today? It's not what have you done for me 5 years from now.
And I wonder what that partnership truly brings to the table outside of like, is he partnered with them to cater to that group of people specifically, like the FaZe clan who can afford those cars specifically, like, hey, this is our car, this is our go-to partnership. If we're going to be buying a luxury car, this is our car that we're going to go with, right?
Yeah.
So is that...
And it makes me wonder if they track licensing as well, because if you think about it, right, you could say the same thing about all of the social media players that are doing Lamborghini and Ferrari, and it's the same deal. Like it's like the audience for that is not typically people who I think can actually afford a Ferrari or a Bugatti or something like that. But at the same time, I guess they do create this awareness, and I'm sure they sell a lot of shirts and swag and merchandise around it for the people who can't afford, obviously, to buy a Ferrari.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's one of those things that's very interesting, and I feel like, I don't know too much about like the behind the scenes of the cars and everything like that, but I do know this though. and this is the one random fact that I do know. Ferrari is one of the car companies in the luxury space where they will like speaking of cease and desist, they will like send you a letter if you like customize their car,
Sure.
if you do anything to their car, whereas like Lamborghini and everything like that, you see guys with tricked out cars and everything. So it's like maybe
Different
they're just
approaches,
like maybe they're just trying to appeal to this gaming side of things because the gaming people are the first people to get on the crypto thing and the NFT thing and might get that quick money and they want to like what's
I get it. It just seemed I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's thought behind it, and I'm sure they know what they're doing, right? I mean, obviously, for me on the surface, like just kind of as a casual looking in, I'm like, yeah, that's a disconnect on the audience that you're trying to market to. But like you said, maybe it's a long-term play to kind of build the wish, like, hey, that it's a wish car becomes a
or maybe it's like a bigger play too, where it's like maybe it's one of those weird things where it's like maybe Porsche is almost looking for funding for something in like a weird way. Like I don't know if they have like a
I don't think so.
Like a sports what do you call that? I don't know. Like something weird like that. I'm trying to think of like maybe they want to have that phase logo on the front of their car for when they're doing so. Like you never know. I truly don't know the antics behind it. I don't know what both sides get besides like compensation.
No,
or whatever
I mean other than I don't know. Maybe there's obviously licensing and money to be made in the digital, selling digital cars at some point, or having them included in, the GTA, whatever the hell the next one is.
Call of Duty just had the Hummer, the EV in the game, which is, that's groundbreaking. A lot of eyes going to that.
Well, I will tell you though, I think that we've seen a clear reason why all of these social media people are getting into creating teaming up on products.
Oh,
right. You saw Flo Rida scored that $82 million deal with Celsius,
so which
is, I guess, a sports drink.
Do you have the scoop on that? Because I don't know. Like I seen he won it, but what was the whole backstory? Do you have any information?
I guess he got involved with Celsius. I think it's like a smart water, or it's kind of a
it's like a healthy alternative.
Yeah, it's sort of
they promote it as like a healthier drink.
I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I know it's in every freaking 7-Eleven or every convenience store you can find. But so I guess apparently in 2014, when they were nobodies, he got involved with them in promotion.
Okay,
I don't know what that means. It could have been social media, it could have been videos, whatever it was, right? Or he was drinking it in his videos, something, right? And I guess he did it for 4 years. Apparently, he had a run between 2014 and 2018 where he was very actively involved in it. And I guess they had a deal that he was supposed to get 1% of the company. And somewhere along the line, obviously, things went sideways, or they tried to cut him out. And so I guess it ended up in litigation, and then he ended up getting that 1%. And that 1% now, today, is worth $82 million because it's like an $8 billion company or something like that.
Yeah, it's huge. It's in like you said, every gas station. It's in Giant, Acme. It's everywhere. So
good for him, I guess. When you look at the Pauls doing, was it Prime Water and I know the freaking
Mr. Beast
Full Send guys have some sort of stupid shit like supplements or something. But everybody's trying to do product marketing. And this is all spin out of Aviation Gin and who's the Casamigos and stuff like that on the alcohol side that
George Clooney,
overnight you put a couple $2 million into one of these things and next thing you know you're a friggin' billionaire.
And it's one of those things where you like before when you would hear like you just all going off your example of like celebrity alcohol, you would think like, oh, it's cheap alcohol, but the marketing behind it's fantastic. It's like 2023 2022 even, you're starting to see good products but also have those good marketing tactics still behind it. Like think of like what was that with Diddy, the alcohol. I heard it was not that good. Ciroc.
Oh
yeah, I heard it wasn't the best alcohol, but
that was the champagne or whatever.
Yeah, Diddy was behind it, so it was like a huge elaborate thing, and they still have it in stores to this day. But then you have like you said, Casamigos, my girlfriend, it's a tequila, right?
Casamigos a tequila.
Yeah, she's not a tequila drinker, but she drank it because the name attached to it and everything. She's like, I don't even like tequila, but this is pretty damn good. So it's like, it's one of those things where you're starting to see great products meets great marketing product attaching themselves to a creator or content or whoever it is and meshing together.
It also is a very clear reflection of the value of
influence.
I mean, it's huge, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, very crowded space. It's the clothing. It's like
It's the clothing of drinks, right? Sure.
I mean, if you don't have some sort of hook, it is you're like trying to roll a boulder up a freaking Mount Everest, right? Because I mean, it's not hard to enter into that space. So if you don't have a hook or a grab or that social media influence to drive it, you're gonna have, But there's obviously significant value in. That's why it's kind of funny. Like you watch how McGregor, is
4.12.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up getting a couple $100 million for it, and I'm thinking, but as soon as he's out of the picture,
how is that going to do?
What the hell?
I mean, same thing with Prime. How when KSI and Logan eventually sell their company, is it going to still have that? Wow, this is Prime, because apparently, I don't know if it's good or not. I haven't never tried it, and I wanted to get it for us, but every Walmart around here, they didn't either carry it or sold out. Whatever
I don't
the case
think I've
is.
ever seen it.
Yeah, I never seen it either. But apparently, it doesn't taste the best. So, and that's the thing where it's like, as soon as they're out and you have a drink that's not up to par with this, it brings those questions of like what's going on, right? Like where does Prime go without the two co-founders? Where does whatever go? And I have two quick segues off of that. I wanted to talk to you about who was it? Kobe Bryant, and he had the body armor deal. Like,
oh yeah,
he
made. I mean, seriously, I think he ended up turning
he was an this is the tweet exactly how incredible of an investor he was. So he initially invested $6 million into body armor, which then turned into $400 million, and then he had $100 million that turned into $2 billion, but he had like 10 exits in between that time period. So he's just someone to look up to when it comes to like beyond basketball, like his investment side of things, where it's like a lot of these guys, like you're now seeing like Usain Bolt, who got $12 million stolen from him. It's like, maybe having that liquid cash is not the best thing for you. Maybe putting that somewhere and.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal's another one that's really good with that.
Oh, my God. He's everywhere.
Everything he's involved in, I think that he actually wants equity ownership in, so he becomes like a part owner of everything he sponsors and stuff like that.
He was the new general guy. Like, go to the general. It's Shaq now.
And he turns a big profit for whoever he gets involved with. But
who knows?
Yeah, that was kind of funny. But so you see all of these tie-ins to products and stuff like that, and this is clearly the reason, right? Because these guys are making good money doing social media, but they're not making stupid money that you can get if you score big with one of these, consumer products that you can turn into a monster win selling the Pepsi or whoever the hell it is, right?
No,
I mean,
absolutely. And do you remember a couple months back we were talking about the girl who did the pink sauce?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have a little update. Apparently, she is now in Walmart's with her newly upgraded pink sauce, but based off this picture, you take a look at that and you guys are not going to be able to see it, all the pink sauces are different colors still, so I don't know how the hell that she's able to get the FDA approved.
Holy shit, that is too funny. You're right. So he's basically showing, and I could probably, if you send me the picture, I can throw it in here, but it's like think of hot sauce bottles, right? And if you go and buy Tabasco, right? Tabasco is red across the board. The whole shelf is the exact same color, right?
Her pink sauces are different colors.
There's 4 or 5 of these pink sauce bottles, and it's the 3 of the bottles are clearly very different colors. Like, what's going on?
And it's
here?
A girl on TikTok that started it, and she was under extreme fire because she. When the company first started, she was selling it and she was shipping it out with no ice, nothing, and then by the time it got to people, it would explode or it was moldy, whatever the case is. But now she's in Walmart, so maybe that's another thing we have to test. I don't know if I want to put that in my body, but one of those things.
Pink sauce.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And this is the second parlay. I'm trying to stay on topic with what I was saying was the influencers. There was a news thing by TikTok that there was employees at TikTok by ByteDance to have access to a secret back-end button that could make any video go viral immediately, pushing it to have more viewers. The practice, which is known to TikToks, has never been disclosed and is known as heating. According to the sources and docs, TikTok's employees have been heating to woo creators and celebrities to get onto their platform, push important information to users, but it has always been clear to employees what has been eligible for heating and what hasn't been eligible to heating.
So they're artificially controlling.
So
yeah,
they're using this to ruse in, like Kim Kardashian. Yo, come use our app. Your videos will go viral. Push the button on her thing, and then it goes to all these different people, even if they're not in your niche. And this just got recently exploited because you were someone that told me about it too, where it's like you go into China and you open up TikTok, it's promoting
totally different. Yeah.
The social or what
education,
do you call it? Education. You know what I mean? So that I like
good
actually
values,
hearing that, like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, like it's a conspiracy, but then you hear someone on the back end kind of leak that information, you're like, well, that's kind of fucked up. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, I mean, there's no conspiracy about any of this shit anymore. It's proven and vetted. And anybody who wants to argue is so that this shit is all manipulated and controlled.
Imagine
everything that we view on social media is controlled.
Yeah, man.
Period.
And I when I hear this though, I'm like now I'm like thinking like, what have I consumed in the past couple of days that I think is now heated content? Like, what's being soft served to me? Because I can tell you one thing, the stuff that I'm looking at on TikTok does not have any correlation to Kim Kardashian, but she pops up on there like doing her makeup and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell is this doing up on here?
Yeah, I get that all the time.
You know what I mean?
Why the hell am I seeing this? And the problem is for me, I share my account with the wife, right? She doesn't have her own,
enough.
So she's looking at stupid shit like soap opera stuff, and I'm like, why the hell is this popping up on my freaking feed, right? And I get it because there's more than one user in my case, but
yeah.
I get all kinds of weird shit. I mean, the scariest thing is when you're like, with Amazon. We've had this conversation, right? And I'm having a conversation about needing something, whatever it is. I need some pink sauce. And the next thing I know, I'm getting emails from Amazon for hot sauces. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me with this shit?
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just
think
But yeah,
that so I mean, look, there is not a social media platform on the planet that is not, influencing you one way or the other. And look, I honestly think that Rumble probably does, similar things from a right-leaning perspective. So it's, I'm not naive enough to think that there's a universal, it's not going on universally across the board.
And it's kind of going off your topic. Like, I noticed that I found myself, like, in a weird way. Like, I know we talk about Elon a lot on the show, and obviously, if you like him, don't like him, whatever it is. I found myself going on Twitter a lot more
lately now.
Just because what's that? The hate on him, or
it's sort of he seems to be kind of out of sight, out of mind right now.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
funny how that works.
Yeah, exacly. But I found myself going on Twitter more just because I feel like it's a great place where.
So I will confess that I had an account on Twitter, and I think I literally had like five followers, and I wasn't even following anything, and I was never on Twitter. The second he took over, I was back on, and I'm like, I am actually on it a hell of a lot more than I ever was before.
Yeah, and I think it's just like a great platform to kind of see all sorts of information. Sports, I see current news, and I see like all these like meme type things and everything on there, but. Yeah, I've been finding myself going on Twitter a little bit more, and I'm sure you're going to get fed content on there as well, but it's not like there's not an agenda being pushed towards your an account, at least in my opinion. And my stuff's probably a lot different.
You'd like to think so. I mean, who knows? I mean,
well, at least that I can't see. Like, I'm not seeing any political stuff pop up on my timeline.
I mean, at some point, he's got to be under pressure to monetize it again, or kind of go back to focusing on how to monetize it. And at the end of the day, as soon as monetizing it comes into it, right? That's you got to start influencing the feeds and stuff like that, because that's the hook. But
yeah, I think that's when the video
stuff
comes in.
If you ask me, I'm Twitter. I'm feeling a little bit better about. But they all they all suck. Like, if you're living your life in social media, man, you're a freaking puppet. You're a marionette puppet. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, get a life, seriously.
Speaking of puppets, no, I'm just kidding. This is talking about how Alec Baldwin was charged with involuntary manslaughter with the Rust movie set shooting.
Screwed. He's totally screwed.
So, do you think that's going to fall through? Like, how do you see that playing out in your personal opinion?
He's going to plead out, and because if he doesn't, and that goes to court, I think that. In Arizona, because it's a gun offense, even though it's involuntary, he's still looking at 5 years minimum.
Actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my guess is what's going to happen is he's going to plea deal it, and he'll get community service and fined, and everybody will kind of just talk about it for 2 weeks on social media and the media, and then everybody will forget about it, and he'll go back to doing his thing, and, who cares sort of deal. Obviously, the family of the woman who got killed cares, but... that's how it's going to play out.
Okay.
There's no way. There's no way he's going to court. I mean, I'm guessing he'd be an idiot to do it at this point.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Obviously, the condolences go to the
I'll tell
the
you
woman's
what,
family.
So maybe I was reading it wrong. I wasn't really following it, but when they announced it, I just kind of looked at the one article and it was talking about how not only did the gun have a live bullet, his ammo belt had a mixture of fake and real bullets, and Jason Eccles, who is the other guy who was a star in the movie, his prop stuff, I guess that he didn't use at the time, right? Because whatever, they weren't shooting or whatever, had live rounds in it. So it was like,
is that a setup almost?
I mean, it was either that or just massive negligence where someone took a box of real ammo and a box of dummy ammo and poured them on a table and kind of just.
Do they look the same?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
I've never played with dummy rounds. I've only played with real rounds, and dummy rounds supposedly have a different weight, they're lighter.
Okay, but someone that doesn't know, like a prop guy who probably.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's look. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm not a fan of Alec Baldwin in any way, shape, or form. Right? I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy because he's a dick. But seriously though, I mean, I'm like, you hear, I'm like, the rules with guns are you don't point it at somebody, but I'm like, it's a movie, right? So at some point, it's supposed to be a professional atmosphere. I'm assuming that him as an actor has to assume that it's been vetted, and when they're handing him a dummy fake gun or fake bullets,
it's acting right at that point.
Is it really his responsibility to check each and every one of those bullets? I don't know.
That is a tough scenario. I think what I heard through Taylor is, because I obviously don't keep up with it that much, is they were shooting prior, and they were shooting with the real guns, and then they were like in the desert, like you said, so they were just messing around. But then during the set, they were also like interchanging the guns, like you mentioned, So it's like, if that's the case, right? I'm almost for myself, I'm gonna double check everything just because, like, I know that we were just shooting,
I don't have
that mindset of like, all right, God forbid, like something went wrong, like I'm still like. I feel you just gotta have some sort of. That's
the context that most people don't have, right? Because I agree with you, right? If you're out shooting with real ammo and then all of a sudden you're using that exact same gun in a scene with fake ammo, you're going to be double and triple checking as well as you should, right?
You're even in that habit though, because like even like when we were out that one day, like you were just like check it to clear it, and then you go back and walk over there. It's like, if you're in that habit and you're doing the same thing on the fake set, why don't you just do the same habit that you're supposed to be doing? Don't turn a blind eye just because it's supposed to be that way. I don't know. I just feel like
it's a bad scene. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just it's all screwed up. And I guess he was executive producer, so I guess he has liability even beyond the fact that he actually was the one who pulled the trigger, because then it becomes negligence on set for mixing fake and real ammo, and he's the executive producer on the movie. It's just, I don't know. It's a bad scene, but he is absolutely. I mean, if he doesn't plead out, take a plea deal and just take some sort of punishment, I don't think he's going to serve jail time. But if he takes it to court, that's rolling the dice, man.
Yeah,
he's got the money to do it, so I guess it's possible. But
moving to a lighter-hearted topic, kind of going off of this, and this is one of the last ones that I got, is coming from Eric, who is a content creator who has 10 million subscribers.
Okay. 10 million subscribers. Oh my God.
He's hosting the world's largest pizza party in the world, and he teamed up with Pizza Hut to throw this in a stadium, and you can check out this picture. I'll have to send you these pictures just so you can put them up on screen.
Holy shit.
Yep, but he filled up the entire arena with a big pizza. So they're going to be hosting any of his subscribers to come on down and eat a piece of pizza.
How freaking dumb is that?
How cool is that?
I mean, is it cool? I mean, everybody's got this. I mean, the gimmicks are starting to get kind of like long in the tooth, man. Because I mean, seriously. So he's got a picture, and it's basically, think of it's
a soccer field,
big stadium, and the entire field is a pizza.
Yep.
Right. And,
but anything that's hold on, real quick. Anything that's Guinness has to be either eaten, bought, or given away. They can't if it's under the Guinness regulation. So it's not going to get wasted anymore.
I'm assuming that's not happening in the U.S. Because
No,
how the
it
hell is it really? So
Yeah.
I wonder how that.
I think it's in Los Angeles.
That's got to. How the hell's that pass health code? Think about that. I mean,
I don't know.
that freaking thing. Is it an indoor stadium? Because if it's not, I mean, that shit's going to get bird crap on it. And
Yeah, who knows, man.
Seagulls, and it's got to be in an indoor stadium.
Yeah, sure.
See, I'm overthinking it now.
No,
I'm
yeah.
actually like putting effort.
Now you have to go into it.
I literally
Yeah.
just spent 30 seconds of my life. I can't get back thinking about a fucking football
Pizza.
field-sized pizza and how it's... Jesus Christ. I want my time back.
Hey, man. That's awesome.
Give it back to me. I want my life back.
Yeah. Well, that
This is what's wrong with social media, right? That's the shit that comes up in your feed.
Well,
and
that's
you
what I-
you
that's
spend
what
30,
I would
30
rather-
seconds of your life you're never going to get
I'd
back.
rather
When
see
I'm on my
that than
deathbed, I'm going to
who-
be like, fuck, I could have better used that 30 seconds
Man,
than
I
wasting
tell
my
you,
time
I'd
talking
rather
about
see
pizza.
the biggest pizza than fucking who's coming back to Twitter.
Oh, the
who's
F-bombs are flying right now.
Hey, man.
What
It's
happened?
all right. Jeez, let me take a step back.
We lost our PG rating on this episode. God damn it.
Yeah, so that happened.
Shout out to everybody who's getting laid off by big tech. You probably
Google.
deserved it, you sons of bitches.
I seen a day in the life. So you know what they do? They go to work. They're going to work and they're going to the cafeteria getting a latte
You know
by
what's
the
really
barista.
scary about those videos? They're freaking true.
Well, yeah. So you know,
But it's not a meme. It's not a
I'm telling you,
joke.
this
That
is what
shit's true.
This is what I seen. So she went to get a latte.
Oh, God.
After the latte, she went with her friend to go get breakfast. I'm assuming on Google's time or whoever it was. Went to a meeting for the day. Had lunch. Went to their rooftop bar area. Got a beer, and then
Went to the isolation pod to
went to the isolation pod. Well, you know, first they have to do their research first, and then
Oh,
so
God.
you know that
sorry, but
happened, and then 12,000 people got let go. So
Look, it's never cool when people lose their jobs, but oh my God.
yeah,
You know, reality, at some point, reality is going to come back and kick you in the ass.
I think Elon Musk actually, speaking of which, he commented on that. He was like, "This video is fake because people that would ensue that people actually show up to work, assuming that people will work remote." So he was
Oh my God.
"Yeah, something crazy like that."
You
But
know,
yeah.
I mean, seriously, the telling story though is the fact that Twitter basically fired 75% of their workforce, and as far as I can tell, there's been no degradation in the service. If not, it's actually improved. It's kind of funny, man. It's like holy mackerel.
Well, yeah, I've noticed that, and I don't know. I think it would be cool. Like, it always is cool to say that you worked for one of those companies, but like,
It's lost a little bit of its cachet.
I think I was gonna say it's probably.
I mean, it's a little inner circle, right? So if you're in San Francisco, right, you have to have that on your resume, or it's a feather in your cap because it's all tech industry. But I think as soon as you get out of really the Bay Area, it's probably just is not as meaningful as it used to be.
Interesting stuff, man. Interessante. Well, yep, that was about it. As far as I was gonna say something. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Excuse me, that F-bomb again.
Did you see the rumor? And again, it's just a rumor that the reason that Bitcoin has kind of gone up 20% over the last couple weeks is because, you know, that FAA airplane stop that happened where they shut down the entire airline industry for a day?
Yeah.
It was hackers compromising the FAA, and they paid a ransom in Bitcoin, and they were keeping it under the rug. So the U.S. government was buying Bitcoin to pay the ransom. I loved it. I was like, "Oh my God!" It was a Tucker Carlson thing or something.
Are we going to see a bull run in cryptocurrency?
Well, I mean, I'm looking in like Bitcoin's at 22 grand, right? Which I think the last time we did this podcast
16.
in December was like 16 and some change. So that's a nice little chunk of change. I mean, it's still obviously if you bought in at 67,000 like I did, you're a long way from home. But yeah.
Well, now that we're talking about dollars, you actually just brought up a good point. Since you're the political guy.
You know, I'm starting to wonder if we should get into this cryptocurrency exchange thing, set one up, take in a bunch of money, buy houses and Lamborghinis, and it's probably worth serving the 3 or 4 years you probably do in time, right? We should be criminality pays, man.
So
this freaking guy, this FTX guy, is living in his parents' $4 or $5 million house while he's under arrest. I mean,
it doesn't sound too bad,
man.
Yeah. He could play some COD.
Come on, man.
The U.S. government has now reached $31.4 million trillion dollars in trillion dollar debt limit.
Let's go, Brandon.
So I think we put that in a parlay. Put the 31 trillion all on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, And we could actually pay some of that off. You don't
That's
think?
true. We could.
They got to bring me and Kevin to the White House to
I'll tell you
make
what,
some
the
executive
government's
decisions.
not too far away from that. The lottery. I guess someone was bitching about the lottery being predatory, which it is.
Predatory.
Well, yeah, it preys on it preys on it preys on the poor. Who do you think buys most of the lottery tickets?
Yeah, but I mean, it's common knowledge, though. I would imagine.
It doesn't matter. What common knowledge? What the hell's knowledge?
Dude,
I mean, it's okay, but seriously, I mean, it's age-old history that the majority of
I'm not
lottery ticket playing lottery players are lower income. People who can't afford to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I feel like it's gambling at the highest degree. Like, you have the lowest odds to get hit the lottery, but people still do it,
Oh, man, what else was on our list? Because I'm sure there's more stuff I want to just completely complain about because I'm in one of those complaining moods because Manchester United lost and I'm friggin' fuming. So, what else was on the list? Flow Road. This is why you got to write shit down. God damn it. We talk about this all the time.
I know, I had stuff written down, man.
It's 15 minutes in, so we're pretty good on time. But
what was Cristiano Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia?
Did that happen after? No, that was...
We didn't talk about it because it was in between us going ghost hunting.
Well, it's $175 million a year. I mean, in his career...
That's a major W.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
is Cristiano Ronaldo the most famous person on the planet, would you say?
If it's worth anything to anybody, as soon as he went to Saudi Arabia, I unfollowed him on all social media accounts. So...
holy shitballs.
Yeah, I did actually. I really did.
Why?
I don't know. I don't really give a shit about him anymore.
So you just
left
got
Manchester United.
You got what you wanted out of him, and then he just passed to the side like old goods. Like what the hell, man?
I don't know, man. If he had gone to the MLS, I would have been like maybe a little bit more behind him. I mean, Saudi Arabia. I mean, look, it's $175 million, and at the end of the day, the almighty buck is all that matters. And the reality is that's a serious chunk of change. I mean, it's
dude. The way that I'm looking at it is, I'm looking at this like, this guy Nick Foles took us to a Super Bowl. I'm rocking with him till the end of time. So him getting hit by that Giants player the other week, I took that to heart, man. And I'm not going to throw him away like he's a piece of trash.
Well, Nick Foles is a god. I mean, he's a hero. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess that doesn't transpire to Cristiano Ronaldo. Some would say he's a god.
So it did though. I mean, I actively followed him when he went to Real Madrid the first time. I followed him when he was at Juventus. So I mean, I followed him, but then when he, it was just, it's a money grab, and I don't blame him, but at the same time, I just don't care anymore. And part of it's also the Saudi league. I mean, who cares? It's like it's literally like going off the face of the earth and just cashing out. I don't know what to say.
Is Messi going to Florida?
That's the rumor. I doubt it because I don't think the MLS can afford him. Because PSG's probably paying him. I don't know what his annual salary is, but he's probably getting. He's got to be getting $20-something million a year, I would think, if not more, right? And I don't think the MLS can pay him that.
I'd be cool to see him in the States.
So soccer's really weird because there's. The way they monetize players. I mean, Messi, right? If he comes to Miami, they're going to sell a shit ton of shirts, which is how they basically recoup all the money. I mean, if they actually talked about Cristiano, so here I actually do kind of follow what's going on, right?
Geez.
Just don't follow him on social media. But I mean, so I mean that was one of the things, right? As soon as he went there, like the entire freaking country bought one of his shirts.
Yeah, so
at $100 a pop or whatever they are, they're making them. They're getting. I don't know if they're going to make $175 million back, but obviously there's a lot of exposure to, Saudi, the whole Middle East now because of it. So
for what it's worth, I mean, I think Messi's the one that's never mind. Messi's in Call of Duty, but Ronaldo's not. So
what the hell's Messi doing in Call of Duty?
He's a character. You could buy him.
Get the hell out!
Swear to God.
What does he do? I
mean, Neymar. And
does he kick grenades at people? I mean, what?
That's one of his finishing moves. He doesn't kick grenades, but he does some sort of soccer move and kicks him in the head or something like that.
All right, but to say if he really kicks grenades, I'm like, all right,
but it's like $20 though to buy him.
Jesus Christ.
Him, Neymar, and some other guy. I forget. I'm not a soccer guy.
It makes you wonder what his percentage of that is. If he gets 20, I mean, if they get $20, what does he get?
Yeah, I mean, and every time you see someone wearing the skin, they're like complete dog shit. So like, it's probably just casual soccer fans that just play the game on a casual basis. But yeah.
I know. I wanted to talk about. Did you see Steven Crowder? Did you see the whole thing with Steven Crowder? I mean, if you don't follow right wing, I guess podcasts and stuff like that,
is he the guy that sits
know,
at campuses?
So I guess Steven Crowder. I don't listen to him. It's really funny.
Is that who it is though? He sits at campuses though, right? He's like change my mind.
Look, I seriously. I mean, okay. Believe it or not, I mean, obviously, I lean right, and I listen to like Ben Shapiro and all these things. And the only reason I know is because he picked a fight with Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. So, but I've never listened to Steven Crowder. Right, okay. Louder with Crowder, but apparently he's the number one right wing podcaster. Right, has an audience that
Steven is or Ben.
Steven. Okay, he's actually. I guess he's bigger than Ben Shapiro. So he has like the number one right podcast, and I guess he's on the Blaze. The Blaze is a company, and I guess his contract ran out, and so he was negotiating for. He was out basically saying, "Hey, does anybody want to hire me?" Doing a Joe Rogan, and I guess the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's company, offered him $50 million over 4 years.
Okay.
And
so 50 divided by 4.
Well, $12.5 million a year.
Okay.
For 4 years.
Yep.
And then I guess extending it an additional 2 years for $20 million or $25 million or some. But I was like, whoa, those are some serious numbers. Like it makes you. So it's like, holy shit! I should really focus in on this podcasting thing.
Did he bite?
Well, so I don't want to get into it, but I mean, it turned into a whole shit show because apparently he like behind the scenes recorded the contract negotiations and made it public, and it turned into this huge shit show because I guess he was complaining that because I guess the contract had read that if he got demonetized by YouTube or whoever, right, that they would cut his pay. And he fought back and said, I could have the story wrong, but he fought back and said that that basically the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro's company are all in bed with big tech because they're promoting like demonetization. And, I guess the Daily Wire fought back and said, look, man, we're just basically saying that if you lose your revenue, guess what? We lose the revenue too. We have to share in this battle, right? We're not saying you lose everything, but if you take a hit, we take a hit. Let's do it together. And, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's actually a curious. Like you said,
what it did is to me. I mean, for me, I could care less about the internal battle, right? It's just it's one person saying one thing, it's another person saying the other thing. You could probably see it either way, and I'm like, whatever. I kind of sided with the Daily Wire after listening to some of it, regardless, right? Yeah. But what it did is it kind of exposed, where the money is kind of coming from and flowing with these podcasters. And as it turns out, I guess a lot of this money is now shifted from advertising to these paid subscription models, because I guess that's Crowder's big thing is he's got a huge pool of people who pay $5 a month for his extra 30 minutes of bullshit.
I saw that. I forget what podcast it was, but Ben Shapiro was talking about his thing, and apparently the Daily Wire they have like a $200 million company or something like that.
They do. I guess
off of the subscriptions.
They have 1 million paid subscriptions, and I think that paid subscription is anywhere between
5 and 20.
5 and like $30 or $40, depending.
Up that high?
There's
Christ.
Like, you get into these ultra levels where you can meet people and whatever it is. But I mean, that's apparently where the money has kind of shifted. It's less on the advertising because of the fact that I guess social media has demonetized a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, well, that's
you can't bank on that because it's. Well, I don't know.
There was like a period of time during the early YouTube days back in like 2014, 15, 16. Where that was like the prime time that every content creator was getting insane pay dollars and everything per click and everything. And they called it the adpocalypse, where they started, realizing that, hey, like Geico doesn't want to put their video on like a, Steven Crowder video or something where it's like, hey, Geico doesn't want to support that, or Coca-Cola doesn't want to support that. So they call it the adpocalypse, and that's where, they started taking dollars.
So, I mean, the other thing is, you can clearly see it. Like, obviously, Crowder and Shapiro and there's others, right, that have this paid subscription model. They definitely seem a little bit less fearful of getting banned or getting, whatever, shadow banned or all this other stuff. But then you look at, like, Logan Paul.
Terrified of it,
right?
Well, that's how he gets
with
his money.
So I mean, his money is all on, views and clicks and advertising, and you can see. And he literally didn't want to step into the whole arena with the Andrew Tate shit, and just
Oh, and he's in jail. Oh, we can save that for the next one. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that too, or maybe we didn't. But it was funny because you watch those guys and they're like petrified, and you can tell. Yeah. Instantly, oh yeah, that's where they get their money is from big tech, and they can't afford to rock the boat at all.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, I don't know what time we're at, but
we're 50. We're right on an hour.
Okay, so real quick, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the Andrew Tate stuff, but we're kind of going back in time a little bit. When we first talked about Andrew Tate a couple months ago, it was with the assumption that we both didn't really know too much about this guy. We just knew the kind of the surface level, like, oh, he's a misogynist and everything like that.
Yep.
And then over time, the narrative is starting to change slowly if you have been keeping track of it.
Yeah.
And it's not so much about a guy who's a misogynist in any regard. It's just someone that's promoting, if you're a masculine man, that's okay, right? And that's something where I feel like a lot of people are kind of drawing the ball short because, you could debate like, oh, there was a video of him apparently slapping this girl or whatever, but that was like the girl came out and said like that was part of like their whatever they did in their own free time, right? Like whatever. But then now that he's doing this 30 to 60 day sentence or whatever it is, or what, I don't know what the correct term would be for that. It's about sex trafficking, and everyone's like, sex? There's no evidence for sex trafficking. If you're going to make these assumptions,
So
I don't think guilty until proven innocent, right? So
yeah, but so there are women who have come forward that said all this shit occurred. It's a he said, she said sort of deal.
Right.
And I don't know all the. It's a he said, she said. And,
sure, right, yeah.
And I think because of him and his sort of status in the world, right, he's taking it in the shorts because they're kind of giving the benefit of the doubt to women. Now, my big thing is I still question where the hell he's getting all his money, man. That's the thing that's always been kind of this big unknown. He talks a little bit about it.
He talks about like the casinos and stuff, like how he owned a bunch of casinos with like mafia people, and he has a bunch of like paid like websites that people can join their clubs and everything. Kind of like how the Daily Wires ran, but. When you have like not an easy target, but the most hated person, of course, people are going to come speak out of nowhere. Oh, he said, she said. That's where that's going to come from. So it's interesting to kind of see how that'll all unfold. I mean, some of his messaging, it does hold true, but then some of the messaging, he kind of does take to that deep end of like, men are, women are property and all that. That's where the kind of like the deep end kind of thing goes. And you have to kind of be able to determine, is he playing a character? What is he saying is actually true, right?
His greatest gift is the fact that he can get on a mic, and I have never seen a guy who can dance around the topic like that dude. Honest to God.
Well, he got on Piers Morgan a couple times,
But it's unscripted, and there's no pauses. There's no, let me think about my answer. It is just seamless. And he is super, super good.
He's good at talking. He's a great talker.
Oh my God.
Well, that's.
So I can see, him. I guess one of his things was, telemarketing and all. Back in the day when it was sort of a thing. I'm like, man, this guy, he could tell a story.
Sure, absolutely. Well,
all right.
I think that about wraps it up.
Not bad for our first one back. We got an hour. We didn't even talk about the close, which is kind of effed up.
Yeah. Well, we did. Well, me and Joe. Well, real quick. Me and Joe did. We did link up. We did do our annual Starbucks meeting.
Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to think that we did talk about that. I guess, didn't we?
Briefly. We kind of said we were saving it for the next time we sat down. When we were at the mansion, we kind of said we're like, oh, we'll do it in the next one. This is the next one. We didn't bring it up.
Well, so our next podcast, let's spend some time to kind of catch everybody up on Exclusive Minds. And so we're getting closer
to Chinese New Year.
50. Yeah, happy Chinese New Year. Yeah.
Getting closer to the big 50. Hopefully we can get a big guest. Next guest we'll have
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate come on the show.
Andrew, if you're listening, come.
Well, he's behind bars, man. So.
We'll fly to, where's he at? Prague?
Romania.
Czechoslovakia.
Sure. All right. Well, we're going to have Andrew Tate on the next episode, so make sure to share this with somebody.
We're flying our Exclusive Minds private jet. So, subscribe and see us driving around in Ferraris and shit like that.
No, Porsches, man. We're getting sponsored by Porsche. Right. God damn it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
Later. Peace out.
Oof.